What time? What time do you think is the earliest time you can bench lift on the menorah?
From plug, but the question is which plug. So I mean, the later the better, but usually about an hour, give or take an hour before Shkia.
Hour before Shkia. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I would say, but the later the better, because there's a whole machlokes when plug is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear.
So that's
looking to see what time Shkia is.
Stairs plugged in by my bed.
Right.
Okay, so let's go. We got a lot of, it's easy daf, a lot of stories.
Yeah.
So let's go, because we got to finish Mamash by Lifton, right? Amr Olav al Nachum Ish Gamzu. 3 wide lines down on Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph.
Got it.
Got it? Yeah. So Amr Olav, right here we have some world famous stories. Amr Olav al Nachum Ish Gamzu. They said on Nachum Ish Gamzu. Shahayav Suma Mishtei Einov. He was blind to both eyes. Gidei Mishtei Yadav. He was missing both arms. Kitei Mishtei Raglov. He was missing both feet. And he was full of boils. His whole body was full of boils. So, right, life was not a party for him. And he was also sleeping in a house that was bad. It was like going to fall down. And the legs of his bed were put into buckets of water, so that the ants won't crawl on it, because if ants would crawl on it, he wouldn't have any way to get them off because he has no arms. So they put him on a bed. He couldn't move, right? So they could put him on a bed and then they put under the legs of each bed a bucket of water like this. The ants would drown. Yeah, so one time his house was his bed was in his bed house. And they wanted to take his bed out of the house. And then remove the utensils from the house. He said to them, my children, first remove the utensils and then remove my bed. Because you should know for sure that as long as I'm in the house, the house is not going to fall down. All right, so Pinos Akalim, they removed the Kalim, and then they removed his Mita, and then his house fell down. So Talmidim said to him, meaning, so obviously like we learned in yesterday's daf, his chashivus is what kept the house standing.
I had a different shot. How did the Talmidim let him be like this?
How did they be like that? What does that mean?
Why didn't they ever fix up the house?
I mean, why they let the house be like that?
Yeah, the Talmidim let. I don't understand.
I hear. Okay, I hear that. I hear it. Yeah, that's a good kasha. Correct. No, it's a good kasha. I hear the kasha. Yeah. So I'm like Talmidim telling Rebbe, why did this happen to you if you're such a tzaddik? So I'm like, my kids, I caused it to myself. I was on the way to my in-laws, and I had 3 loads on chamarim. So one had food, one had drink, and one had delicacies. And Ani came and stood in front of me on the street. Give me to eat. Wait until I get off the chamar and give you some food. So he wasn't able to get off the chamar until his neshama was until the ani died. which is different than the story that we had. I think it was in Shabbos or in Brachas. With who was it? Ram and Shmuel. Who was? I don't forgot who it was. Which Amoraim that came and they walked by the Ani. They said, "We'll give you on the way out." I think they were on the way into a bathhouse. I mean, if I'm betting man, that's where they were going.
Shabbos,
Right?
in Shabbos?
It was in Shabbos. Yeah. So they said, "We'll give you on the way out," and then he died. Right? This is different. I don't understand. What did he want him to do? He said, "I'm going to give you. I'll just get off my donkey and give it."
Feed the ani. No, he said, unload the donkey.
So I mean, did that mean unload it for food or unload it the whole thing?
I don't know, but maybe he should have said, "I'll give you first. I'll give you right away."
Okay, so I understood it. I understood it that I'm gonna give you food. Let me just take it off the donkey. But I guess your shot makes
But
more
if that's the
sense than
case, then
mine.
what did he do wrong?
Right, and that's why I didn't understand it. But you're giving an answer. I hear your answer. Right. So halachti minafalti upon him. I went and fell on his face. Amarti, and I said, "Eini shaloi chasu aleinecha yasumu." The eyes that didn't have rachmanas on your eyes should become blind. Yadai shaloi chasu al yadecha yiskadmu. My hands that didn't have rachmanas on your hands should get cut off. Raglai shaloi chasu al raglecha yiskato. My feet should get cut off. And he said, this is him talking in first person. And my das didn't cool off, literally. Until I said, my whole body should be full of shchin. So I'm rely. So the Talmidim told him, it's woe to us that we have to see you like this. Woe to me that if you wouldn't see me like this. Meaning he's saying he's happy that he gets seen like that. That means that he got his kapara. He's getting his kapara in this world, right? Okay, but my so that was the story with that's how we got into this, because of the house falling down. So my korole Nachum Ishkamzu. Why was he called Nachum Ishkamzu? The kol milsa do salkale Omar Gamzu Latoiva. Anything that happened to him, he said Gamzu Latoiva.
The Ben Yehoyada says he should have just grabbed it from the thing and took out the food.
I don't know. Is that the normal way of doing things?
And if the guy's dying, yeah.
I didn't know the guy's dying. The guy just asked him for food. I think.
He says, my eyes saw that he was very famished.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, so Zimnacha, the one time Bolish Duri Yisrael during the Bekesar, they wanted to send a present to Caesar. Amru Man Yezel, who should go? Yezel Nachum Ishkamzu. Nachum Ishkamzu should go. The Malumad Benisan, because he's normally has Nisim. Shadaru Shadru Biyade, and they sent in his hands Malay Sifta Davanam Taivas Margolis. They sent him a big box full of good stones and jewels. Also, and he went. Bas Bahudira, and he stayed in a hotel. So the people got up in the middle of the night to steal his stuff. They took his box, offer, and then they took out the jewels and they put in dirt. Now this next parenthesis is controversial, because the next day when he saw it, it says Gamzu L'Toiva. He said Gamzu L'Toiva, and then he continued on to the Caesar with the dirt, which is a big kasha, because it's one thing to say Gamzu L'Toiva that your stuff was stolen. It's another to continue on to the Caesar. That's why it's in parentheses, because some say that he didn't notice it. He never opened it. He never opened it till he got to the Caesar, which would make a little bit more sense. Anyways, Kimata Asam, when he got there, Sharinu L'Sifta Chazunu Malayafra. So they opened it up and they saw it's full of dirt. So the king, the Caesar, wanted to kill all the Yidden. The Yidden are laughing at me by sending me a box full of dirt. Amar, so he said Gamzu L'Toiva. So then Asa Eliyahu, Idmi Lekechad Mina, Eliyahu came and dressed up like one of them. Amar Lei Dilma Ha'afra Me'afra Davram Avuanhu. Maybe this dirt is like the dirt from Avraham Avinu. He have a shadi afra, when he would throw the dirt, have a saifi gili, it would have a saifi, it would turn into, what do you call it? Saif, swords. Gili, and if he threw straw, have a giri, it turned into arrows. Right? His sword was like dirt, and his what do you call it? His arrows were like straw. So there was one Medina that this Caesar was not able to conquer. But Gumine, and they used some of this dirt, they tried it out, and they were able to conquer it. So they went into their geniza, into the storage houses. And they filled it back up with all these precious jewels, which are jewel b'yakar, and they sent them off with a lot of chashivas. Okay, so Kiyosu Besa Bahu Diyura, when he came back to that original place that he stayed, Amrulay, he said to them, and Mustama, the reason why he went back to the original place is because that's the halacha. The halacha is when you're on the way back, you're supposed to stay in the original place, which I don't know, doesn't sound like these are Yidden. It doesn't say whether these were Yidden or Goyim that stole it from him. Right? But if it was a Goy, you don't have to stay in the original place. Okay, whatever it is. So my Esud B'Haduch, what did you bring to the guy, to the Caesar, the Havdilach Yikra Kulai that he gave you such hashivas? Amar Lahu, my Deshakla Me'acha Amdilas, and what I took from here, I brought over there. So Sasali Yudirai, what they did is they knocked down the whole building, and they brought all the junk to the Melech because they figured that he brought their dirt, so they'll bring a lot of it to him. So Amar Lei, Hi Afra the Isi Hacha Mididanu, the dirt that was brought, that Nachum brought, was ours. But and they checked and they didn't find that it worked. So they killed all of those guys. Okay, so that's that story. So again, I don't know. Everybody says Gamzul Latova, so I think a miracle is going to happen, right? Somebody misses a train or misses a bus, he turns on the radio to hear, I'm sure it's going to crash. I'm sure it's going to crash, right? That's right, because that's why I missed it. Not always is it so glaring how that the Gamzul Latova. It's hard. The real Gamzul Latova is when it doesn't seem to work out. That's right. Not that I'm anybody to say that, but that's really what it. Yeah.
There's very few books written about the people who had a great cab driver who got them to the plane, even though it was impossible to get there because there was so much traffic. But he went through 16 shortcuts and he got them to the plane that crashed. Never.
That's
There's very few books written about that.
I hear that. Yeah. It's so, but that's
okay, more because we believe in the Kol Madov Rahman al-Tava rather than Gamzul al-Tayv.
Well, it's sort of the same. Well, okay, you want to know what the difference is between the two? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying? Blocking out. Okay, let's see what. So what's Dever? Here, so we said a city of 500 people, and then 3 people die. So the Brisa says, the Brisa expounds on this. Here, if it has 1,500 people, could go in Kfar Akko, like the city of Kfar Akko. 9 people die on 3 consecutive days. Hareza Dever, that's considered Dever. But if it takes 9 people die in one day, or it takes 4 days to die, ain't it Dever? That's not Dever.
Is that 3 a day, or is that 6, 2, and 1?
I thought it was 3 a day. I don't know.
My Charusa said 3 a day. I said Ma'echetesa.
Enochanami. But I don't know. It just sounds like that because if you look at the 500 one. Right on the bottom line, in a city that has 500, could go in Kfar Amiko, 3 mason. Okay, you're right. Maybe that's also 2 and then 1. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, so we're giving them Dever. That's a Dever. So it goes in ratio to the amount of people from the city, right? If it's on 1 day or 4 days, ain't a Dever. That's not considered Dever. Fine. How do you pronounce it? Droikrat. The Droikrat was a city that had 500 people. 3 people died in 1 day. So Gazer Nachum Bar Chisda Tanisa, he was Gazer Taanis. Now Nachum Ritza Kaman Rameir. Who's that like? That holds like Rameir in Bava Kama, right? The Amar Richik Nigichais of Chayev. If the in between each goring was a space of a bunch of days, 3 days really. Kirim Nigichais of like Kol Shekain. So if they're done all in 1 day, so it's like Kol Shekain. So here it was 3 masim in 1 day. So we're saying that that's considered enough to be considered Dever. It didn't have to be 3 masim over 3 days. Fine. So Amalei Rav Nachum Bar Rav Chisda, Rav Nachum Bar Yitzchak, Leikamar Lesi Lagabon, why don't you come move to us? Right? Which because it's a more chashuv town. So Amrulay Tanina, he said, we learned Rabbi Yosi, being in the place is not what's mechaved you. Right? There's deep mussar there. Right? It's a deep mussar word here. Not meaning you're just because you're living in a chashuv neighborhood doesn't make you chashuv. Right? You have to come to the neighborhood and you make it chashuv. Right? Meaning it's the same thing with the yichus. You tell a kid that has yichus, like what? That because you have yichus? No, you make yourself your own yichus. Right?
My father said it's not how you look at the yichus, it's how the yichus looks at you.
So Yaakov, you just slugged up all the Hokhasid. You just slugged up.
Your mother-in-law said yichus is a zobi a kartoffel. Alice is in drert.
Very good parenting. Remembers it in Yiddish too. Good.
Yeah, it's the only Yiddish I know. That's mamish the only Yiddish I know.
That's very good.
So Yaakov, you just slugged up all the rebbes, no?
Okay, listen, they gotta make their own yichus. That's the only question is, how do you teach this with Oila Rosh, Oila Shchenai, Toiv Tzadik, Toiv Shchenai? Right? That sounds like I'm not a tzaddik. I'm gonna go live next to a tzaddik. Then that'll improve me. Right? Okay, we don't have time, but what's
I don't know Yiddish, but a Rebbe once told me yichus is a bunch of zeros. You got to be a one in front of the zeros to be
there
something.
you go. Exactly.
Very good. Very
That's
good. That was one of your great Rebbes, of your 27 Rebbes. That was one of your great.
The problem is that his Rebbe told him he had 10 zeros. That was his problem. Very good. Anyway, so came at Bar Sinai by Hasina Shekos Masha Shchina Shriya Love. By Har Sinai, when the Shechina was on it, Amru Torah, the Torah says, Gama Tzayin Babakor Al Yiru El Molaharo. Right? Nothing could touch it, because when the Shechina was there, it was Kaddish. Nistalka Shechina, Mimenu, but when the Shechina left, Amru Torah, B'Mshaycha Yovel, Hema Yalav Har. When the shofar goes, well, after the shofar, everybody can go on the mountain because the Shechina is no longer there. So you see the Chashivas is by the person that's going there. Meaning there's nothing intrinsically chashuv about the Har Sinai. It was the people or the Shechina that was on it. Same thing about whenever it was literally means it was planted. I mean, it was set. It was, what do you call it? Pitch.
That's Mamish, you did a revert a neck and you negated a song of the Daf. Little Har Sinai, ba 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 ba.
Very good, very good. Anyway, yeah. So calls Machu not to. Everybody, anybody has tzaras has to leave the machane. Once they rolled up the paraychas to travel, then all the zavim mitzrayim were able to be part of the community because they were just traveling. The kedusha wasn't there. So that's what you see. That when the chashuvim are there, so then they're there, and that's when it's chashuv. They leave, it's not. So Amalei, so they said, if that's the case. So I'm moving to you, right? So he said to him, Mutav Yaveh Mana ben Paras, Eitzel Mana ben Mana. See, now he starts with the Yichus, though. That's the funny part of the whole story, right? He says, better that a Mana, which is amount of money, the son of a Pras, which is only half of that. Pras is half of a Mana. So he says, I'm a son that's worth 100, and my father's worth 50. That Eitzel Mana ben Mana, I should come to you because you're 100, the son of 100. So you got the Yichus. Right, Valyav Mana ben Mana, Eitzel Mana ben Pras.
No, yichus to zicha helps, but it's not. It shouldn't be something that I'm putting my hat on.
Good, but whatever it is, he's saying here that I should come to you because you're more chashuv, because your father was more chashuv.
So there is something to yichus, but
okay, there is something, but yes, but
it's not. But it's nothing if you're nothing.
You're correct. Very good. So, but Surah Havas in Surah Havas Divarta. In Surah there was a dever, right? The Rav lo Havas Divarta, but in Rav's community it didn't touch. So the Rav the Nafish, they thought because the Rav had a lot of schusim. But then they saw in a dream Rav the Nafish schusay tuva, and Rav had a lot of schusim. This would even be a small schus, meaning Rav had so many schusim, it was even nothing. It didn't even take up any of his credit in order for this dever not to come to his city, to that neighborhood. Right? But it was for a different person. The Shayel Mara B'Svila L'Kura. is somebody who would lend out his hoe and for burials, to give it to burials, right? So it was in his chus. Again, the same town as before. I was the lector. There was a fire. But she would say the Rav Huna loy havas the lector. There was the fire didn't touch. So some the Rav Huna did not fish. Rav Huna had a lot of schusim. His chazil b'chelma high zutra le the Rav Huna, right? This would be nothing for Rav Huna. Elam he it was because of a woman the mecham is tanura that she would heat up her tanur mishayla the shivuse and she would lend it out to people. So in her schus, that's why the fire. I guess that has to do with a fire with the oven. Right, so in her schus, it didn't. The fire didn't touch. So I'm related to Rabbi Yehuda. Also, kamtzai. They told Rabbi Yehuda that kamtzai are coming, which are locusts. So Gaza Tanisi made exer right away. I'm related like Sadam, but it's not making us lose anything. No, they bring a suitcase with them, meaning if they're around, they may not be eating the crops now, but they're going to. So we make a fast right away. He said there's the chazerim, the pigs are dying. Gaza Tanisi made a gzera for a tainis. So okay, what's up shot? The pigs are dying, he made a gzera for a tainis. So never because of Rabbi Yehuda maka mushulachas mimin echad mushulachas mikol aminin. That and this is mamish corona right here, right? If you hold that the maka starts by animals, if you hold that it started from animals and monkeys or whatever it is, right? So if it's that he holds that it can spread from animals to humans. So he says, "Loi shani chaziri, a chazir is different," and this is proven, I think, in schools, right? The shani chazir, the damin ma'ayu the insides of a pig are similar to a human. So since it's affecting pigs, he was afraid it's also going to affect humans, and therefore he made the gzera. So amrulei l'shmuel ika musna beichuzai. There's a people are dying in Beichuzai. Gaza Tanisi made a gezer for Tanis. Amalei v'hamerachik, but it's far away from us. So Amar, he said, Lekama ma'avra hacha de psikle. There's no river that's going to stop the spread. This is mamash also in Yonah D'Yoma, right? Travel is what caused this whole magefa to go all over the world. He said the reason why, he says, even though the magefa didn't hit us, he said, but since there's no water to block people from traveling from there to here, it's going to spread here, right? Fine. So Amr Leila Rav Nachum Ikam Musna Ba'arat Yisrael. There's a plague in Eretz Yisrael. Gaza Tanisa made a Tainis. Amar Im Gevira Loika Shivcha Loikol Shekin. If the Gevira, if the lady of the house gets it, so then of course the Shivcha, the slave, is going to get it. So the Gemara asks, time of the Gevira of a Shivcha. The reason was because it's a Gevira and a Shivcha, right? A Chashiv one and a slave. Shivcha v'Shivcha Loi. It's mashma that if it was both, meaning if the plague was someplace outside of Eretz Yisrael, then it would not spread out. But when they told Shmuel that people are dying in Beichuzai, Gaza Tanisa, they were Geyser Tainis, like we just learned. So we're going to answer Shani Yasam, Kivin Dikasher Yasa, the love of Asiba. They know since there's people constantly traveling back and forth, so therefore it's going to be a problem, right? Because that they can make whatever plague is going on to spread. Okay, we'll stop over here. 6 o'clock tomorrow night, B'ez Hashem. Aluchdik Chanukah, Good Chodesh. Enjoy the 2 Sifrei Torah, 3 Sifrei Torah, whatever it is that you have, right? All right.
And the longest benching of the year.
I ask you, what's better to do?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's either one.
What?
It's either one. I'm sorry. I'm just finishing shit.
I should do a hagba or not?
No, I'll call you back.
Have a good Shabbos.
I should do it or not do it?
What?
What should I do? What's better?
What should you do? You should
No.
I would say do hagba after the first one. It's less tircha de tzibura, right? Because
no, that for sure. The question is between the second and the third. There's no third.
Second and the third.
There's no third. There's 2.
All right. No sense. So which one are you doing? What second? Which one are you rolling?
The second one is going to be rolled.
I'm saying you got to do the 2 are next to each other, but Allah is next to each other.
Right.
So, well, you got to lane the first one, then you're gonna what? Which one?
The first one is Mikate.
Which one are you laning first?
The first one is Mikate.
I know, and then I'm saying between Rosh Chodesh and Chanukah, which one are you laning first? That's a big shaila.
Meaning?
What?
What should I do?
Well, the shaila is normally we do Rosh Chodesh first, but then you have to roll
Right.
backwards. So I guess to you it doesn't make a difference.
I
Doesn't
think
make a difference.
Rosh Chodesh and then roll it or do a Hagba?
What?
Should I roll it or just do a Hagba?
No, roll it and then Hagba. Taka after the third.
So only 2 Hagbas.
2 Hagbas, yes, 2 Hagbas.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
Good Shabbos.
Okay, good Shabbos.